Well, it's the greatest month of the year, and it's the A to Z podcast. Zach Jackson, Andre Knott, A to Z podcast.com, facebook.com/A to Z podcast. All sorts of other stuff. Hope you know us. Hope you love us. Thanks for coming. Andre, I love you conditionally. How are you, buddy?
Uh-oh. When you got to start a conversation like that, that worries me.
Well, we wanted to get a podcast in. Listen, we love doing this. We love you guys. We love talking. We have different schedules. So it is Thursday night. Yeah, it's still Thursday night. It's not Friday morning yet as we start this. You'll hear this on Friday morning or Saturday. That means the Browns haven't played yet. That means the Indians aren't back to work. But these are the schedules that we have. These are the blessed lives that we live. And we wanted to talk. So we want to do this.
Well, here, let me start off. I got to say this.
Go ahead.
I'm like a fat kid that loves cake, and there's no difference than most days, but I have my athletic hat on that I received from the one Zach Meisel, who does a wonderful job covering the Cleveland Indians for The Athletic. He's my favorite Zach in this month of August, even though it's Zach Jackson's month, because he came through in the clutch like a real man does. Anyway, so I've done
You
that.
are so spoiled, but listen, you got your athletic hat, and that's what matters. So I guess we'll revisit it when you need your second one, right?
You should start getting that one now because I'm going to need it. There's no doubt about that.
You got to protect that dome. It's beautiful. I got to tell you.
Yeah, I got to have that protected. Number two, I have to say, I got to do a Dustin Fox today. I went to had a nice dinner at Kingfish here in Copley, Ohio. Great surf and turf. Got to go out with the lady, so I'm happy about that.
That's an incredible place, isn't it?
It is incredible. It really, truly is. It's not the first time I've gone. Won't be the last time I've gone. Number three, this is what you jackasses that are here to listen to this, and we appreciate it. Mom, Dad, whoever else is listening, and any friends. I guess I said jackass. I watched Hard Knocks earlier this week, the night it came out, at about 2:45 in the morning, and I took notes on my phone that I can somewhat read and I can some not read. Some of the notes will remain between myself and Zach, but most of the notes will be revealed over the next, 15 to 25 minutes. I find some of them funny. I find some of them to be entertaining. I can't wait to see how you guys respond.
All right, well, that's fair. Okay, so let's do this. There's no Cavs news. We are within 96 hours of an Urban Meyer decision, but as we record this, we don't know one, so there's nothing to talk about there. The Indians swept the Reds as they should have, even though there was a little drama in the last game, and they play the Orioles, and they're the worst of the worst. So, do we have anything other to talk about than Browns?
No, it's a good time to talk them. I don't mind talking them.
Okay, well, listen, Hard Knocks, it's been cool. I have been able to nitpick it a little bit like I would anything else. I'm there almost every day. I know a lot of these people. On some level, I mean, let's just be honest. I think one of the cool things about this podcast is we tell the truth. I don't know a lot of these guys. Personally, I know a lot of them professionally. Some of them I don't know at all. But I watch, and it's cool. John Dorsey is who he is, and that's what makes him great.
That's very interesting you say that. So let's stop and start at John Dorsey. And then keep going where you're at. Because I think John Dorsey is the revelation to watch. Him kind of do things as he does them. There's no charisma about him. There's no bullshit about him. There's no, he almost comes off like your uncle that lives in Manchester a little bit. Just kind of wears the same outfit, wears the same Nikes, just comes try. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. It could be a bad thing if he makes bad decisions. But it seems like he's the most okay with who he is and where he's at as a Browns team I've seen in a long time.
That's fair.
He's not trying to overly impress anybody. He's just kind of like, hey, this is what I do. I've done it my whole life. And there's no I don't know. And I'm not today. He's not Mike Lombardi, who we can talk about at some point in time.
I'm not sure we should though. But go ahead.
No, we don't have to. So that's my point. Is he's a little bit different than what we usually see in Korea in that job over the last 6-7 years.
Well, isn't different good though?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying when you get to see him on TV the way we get to see him, you get a different. And I don't know him personally. I've never interviewed him. You have, so you know him a little bit better than I do. So I know between the radio interviews I've heard and what Hard Knocks has given us so far in 2 weeks, he doesn't come off as a guy that, hey, this is my show. I just came in here and I'm going to save these motherfuckers. Now, that may show up at some point in time. But so far, so good. And I don't think it will, because I think the way he carries himself from what I've seen so far, even seeing him celebrate when Landry makes a one-handed catch, like, to me, that's better than the guys that we've seen in the past that will be right now. And even how he took his style, and I don't want to call names, don't be nice. So far. Even how he talked to the analytics guy, and he was like, "Where's Des Bryant on the group?" He was like, 30. He's like 30 years old. Like, it was like he's trying to make that guy feel good about himself. I don't know what that means in the long run. It obviously doesn't mean goddamn shit, because he brought Des in, and at the time, it sounds like Des. You can take one way or another how that's going to go.
Yeah.
But I thought that was one of those interesting conversations where it was like, "Hey, where's Des Bryant at on there?" Like, you said exactly what your uncle in Manchester, Strongsville, Copley, East Cleveland, or wherever else we said, right?
No, listen, you come from an honest place there, geographically and literally, and philosophically. It's only training camp, and that's the thing. And I think the most important thing, and I'm going to say this 6 other times before this podcast is over, during training camp, we get different guys that interview, one-on-one, group settings, whatever, and Freddie Kitchens, the running backs coach, who's been everywhere, he said the other day, the preseason guys, it's practice in uniforms. Like, we're not going to get too high or too low about it. We're going to try to work on things. We're going to try to take something if we see it, but, like, it's just practice in uniforms. But I think at this stage, Dre, August 16th, as we record this, you wonder where this team would be without Jarvis Landry, and then the follow-up question to that is, well, we've seen where it was, right? Because you didn't have a reliable receiver, and you didn't win games. And it's a passing league, it's a scoring league, and whether that's the bridge to a Des Bryant conversation or a Tyrod Taylor conversation or whatever.
Let's bring it to the rookie and work our way up. Because
that's just saying.
Shout out to Hard Knocks. I would love to have Lee's voice. It's phenomenal. And just what Hard Knocks did the first 10 minutes of this past episode, in telling a story and threading the needle to make you want to pay attention for 48 minutes, kudos to everyone who's working on this show. I know they got a million people doing it, and they got to do a quick turn. And I know in what I do in my job, the quick turns we have to make from, starting practice till 7 o'clock. It's going to be quick, but it's not a 45-minute show, and we're trying to put this together for 5. I can't imagine trying to piece that together, splice it together, and tell.
Oh, yeah, it's 400 hours. Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And what they did in the first episode this week, number one, Corey Coleman, stop talking about your shoes. I don't even know what the fuck they are. He caught a pair of 4s, 3s. As soon as he did that, I was trading them from anybody talking about shoes. It's a whole other story. You know how I'm about certain shoes. And most of my shoe people out there, they will prefer with me.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about your size 4s. That's for another podcast.
I probably wear bigger shoes than you, fat boy. Anyway.
Well, yeah, that's another problem with drafting him at 15 overall, but go ahead.
Anyway, the way they wove that story of Corey Coleman, how they audacity to go in his coach's office after doing a complete shit bomb. You guys know I don't like talking about guys that have been traded or moved. They've been traded or moved for a reason. In the last podcast, people that talk shit about their exes usually are pretty dumb people themselves because they love to like to marry and whatever. But in Corey Coleman's situation, it took some pretty big balls to walk into Hugh Jackson's office and say, "Coach, why am I second team? Son, have you watched any of your film? Son, have you looked at your career numbers? Son, have you seen how many times you've been yelled at by fans at training camp? Like the guy that almost passed out in the suit in the first one because he was so dead set on being on Hard Knocks. Like that guy he was talking shit about you, Corey Coleman."
All right, let me ask you this. Let me cut you off. And ask you 2 questions, right? So Corey Coleman's probably 23. So minimum we're 15 years older than Corey Coleman, right? And so minimum we've spent those 15 years working in pro sports. So before we get to anything else, that scene comes up, and they take through his walk-in closet. So is it or is it not your first reaction to say, because some people say, "Wow, that's awesome." Is your first reaction, "What in the fuck are you doing with all those shoes?"
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And to take it a step further, and I know some people you make a big difference. And this is where we're becoming the old muscle that we despise for so long, which is part of our life, and it's who we are. And that's it. And most people that listen to our podcast, to me, and now this is 40-year-old Andre's speech. If you want to come tell a story about 40-year-old Andre, and his heart might be in the right place, because one of the last quotes he said about the shoes, like, I can't get these shoes away to take them to mom and family. They can't get them from home because so they can look smooth. He said something like that. And I remember thinking, okay, he's got a nice heart, but is that the best place to place that money? And you mean well. I think he means well. But he's a 23-year-old child. And is that really the best thing to be showing everybody about who you are and what makes you yourself? David Njoku. I said it wrong again, so you can go on.
Njoku.
Njoku. Matt Underwood said it wrong, too. I don't have to game. You don't catch touchdowns on my team. I can say it how the fuck I want. I ain't on the sideline. I learned
fair,
that.
Fair.
Anyway. And look, HBO gonna do what HBO gonna do. They trying to sell the show. HBO don't care about how many games the Browns win in 2018. All they care about is making 3 more good episodes that y'all have to watch. And we don't watch it. So
correct, and they've been awesome. They've been awesome at it.
They've been awesome. But the way they showed him on top of the 9 meditating, and the way they Miles, I just wrote my notes, Miles Garrett, and I don't even know how I want to talk about Miles Garrett. So
I'm not sure we want to start going note by note yet. Are you sure about this?
Oh yeah. Because I haven't even got into him yet. That's the best part.
Okay, yeah. Well, I know we haven't got into him yet. I'm just kind of asking. It's like one of those things. You want to order that 3rd cheeseburger? Yes.
I've only had one of that. Anyway, the core culture thing, it works. But the way they weaved us into the young receiver from Florida, and the way that story was told, to me, tells me so much about how the Cleveland Browns are both put together, that how much they can talk out of one side of their mouth about who they need to be and what they want to stand for. And I'm not judging, but I'm judging because the question is out there. I'm not saying the kids should go away. I get it. And what this show is really showing us is we can all have standards. We can all say we live up to certain things. But if Hugh Jackson don't win fucking football games, and Todd Haley can't score touchdowns, John Dorsey can't keep wearing that sweatshirt, you guys are going to start making fun of him on the radio about wearing the same sweatshirt every day. Therefore, it's cute right now for Lyman, everybody, and Dustin, and everybody to talk about how great it is he wears the same thing every day. That becomes a joke at him in 3 years or 2 years or 2 months if they don't score touchdowns. Therefore, a kid that, I don't know, if he came off, I'll give the Browns credit on this. At least, and this is a sign of parenting, a sign of something. At least they knew the kid was full of shit the day he came to practice. Didn't tell them.
Well, yeah, he's not a football player. He's never been a football player.
But, I mean, he came in, and they're like, Todd Haley instantly, like, hey, what's wrong? What's going on with you? Hugh Jackson's like, what's up? What's the problem? You know, like,
well, you just went down about 3 different avenues, so I'm trying to decide which one to pursue first.
Choose which one you want to go. 3 cheeseburger, man.
Yeah, let me say this. Hard Knocks, I think, has been great TV, and any ding I have on it is nitpicking. I think it's been great. But I think it's clear I think I want everyone listening to understand, as I think most do, but it's easy to get caught up in it because it's so good. This is not a knock on them. This is a compliment to them. It's highly edited TV. It's masterfully edited TV. It's a TV show. It's not a show. It's not a documentary of what's going on.
And it's not a video.
The Njoku thing where he's doing yoga, that was probably shot in July. The Njoku thing where he dropped 6 passes, that was probably shot the 3rd day of camp. I think he's dropped 3 passes since. You know, and it's awesome. Camp. It's what it is. I'm just saying what they do.
Drugs anyway.
It's Dre. It's almost become. Wait, hang on. Say that again.
I hate that story because every guy that like in camp, and see, this is my problem that hurts me. In camp, every receiver tight end should catch 50 to 100 balls.
They should catch them all, but everybody drops one too. Like everybody,
right? But that came off fake to me because I'm like,
yeah,
he's gonna catch 30 balls.
Let me say this.
That's what.
Yeah, it did. Let me say this. So. They almost what Hard Knocks does is like the Callaway storyline and the Coleman storyline. They present themselves and they're huge. And like Baker Mayfield mic'd up #1 pick in his first preseason game, they're huge. But everything else is almost like a depth chart. And as other things arise, whether it's great audio, whether it's a heartwarming video of Devin Kajus, whether it's Greg Williams, having better place F-bombs than usual, it almost becomes like a depth chart and they put it in. And then where they put it in or what they choose, and they're right more than they not, sometimes there's still those moments to fill. And sometimes it's 2 minutes, sometimes it's 30 seconds. So it's very much a TV show. And when they're granted access, because I felt like we got shortchanged on Corey Coleman, even though he's done and he's no longer a Brown. I felt we got shortchanged on the Dorsey, Hugh, Callaway conversation, because what did that cover in the show? Like 25 seconds? Right?
Yeah, but I'm going to get to that. I'm not – all right, I'm going to go back to that.
No. And I'm going to let you get to that because I want you to get to that. I'm just saying from a TV standpoint, I felt like they're like, okay, we've been here every hour of every day, and God bless those guys. They are working their asses off because they have worked 100% more than I have, and I've been tired, right?
Right.
I felt like they were like, okay, well, we got to get Njoku in here because he is so much better now than he was on August 1st, and he scored those 2 touchdowns, and he has abs sent from God, and he is a cool kid to hang out with. I felt like they had to jam that in, and everything else was kind of there.
He may be one of the coolest kids. He may be one of the coolest kids on the whole team. At the end of the day,
yeah. Well, listen,
for his talent and his
here's
personality and everything else.
I've said this, and I'll stand by this. He's a much better fantasy football player than he is a real football player at this point. But he is like built from granite. He is intelligent. He is fun, and he is honestly getting better every hour. Now he has a long way to go. That's what I've been warning you guys.
Right.
But
let me say this: what else you said
the motherfucker is made for TV, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Oh well, that too. He can be. Put it this way: he can be successful in life if he never catches another touchdown pass.
Yes, but he'll probably catch, even if he only catches 15 of them all year, 10 of them will be for touchdowns, because that's what kind of a matchup problem he is.
Now it's up to him if he wants to be a star. Like, Francisco, and I'm not saying he's Francisco Lindor, but Lindor was the same way. Like, when you drafted him, he was like, if he puts his mind to it and he really goes about doing everything that he can, he's going to be a star. And we can say that about 1 million kids. Only like 5% of them figure out how to be a star. So we don't know what he'll be, but he has that range. My point, and as you said, he's great for TV. He's an easy sell. He's the kid that you kind of want your kids to watch if your kids happen to watch that. It's a great story. And as a fan, if you're watching Hard Knocks, you should get to know him rather than the Juice Kid. I don't want to say nothing bad about the Juice Kid. He's not going to make the team. He's going to get cut. It's a great storyline. It's TV. I'm not going to say nothing mean about the kid. That's just how I feel from afar. And I've watched this show many times before, from the inside and the real show. so that's just saying. Let me get back to the Callaway kid, because there's so much there for the story time. But to me, the underlining story of who the Browns are and where they're at, and I make the joke of, well, Hugh Jackson, if he's as tough as he wants in meetings and say all the things he wants and jump in all the lakes he wants, he knows, and John Dorsey knows, without talent, all the bluster and everything else means zip. These same people that cheer for you, love you, and caress you, and are begging you to give them just some respect and get out of the abyss that is being a Cleveland Browns fan, adores you already. They're smart enough to know that, because and every organization is in a different place. And I would love to see the Callaway situation, the way it played out in maybe 10 different football offices. Because I would say, and I'm going to put a number out there, and you can go against me, I would say 70% of NFL teams in their offices with the Callaway situation most likely would have kept them. I'd say 50% of them would have suspended them or made them sit out or did something to make the media say, ooh, they're a tough team. And I would say probably the other 30% would cut him immediately and have no comment about it. And we can all guess the teams, I'm guessing, because I can't even tell you all the ones. But I just think there's an integrity. There's an integrity to what they're doing. But there's
an integrity in the NFL. Are you sure?
Well, I didn't finish. I said there's an integrity to it, but it's fake, just like most of the things that are in office nowadays. And it's it's a fake integrity to show that you did something, but it really didn't amount to much. And that's what the NFL is really good at doing. They're really good at, and I don't want to get political, not even political. Like, there's just plenty of things, like the breast cancer stuff and what they wear, the different uniforms and this and this, and they all do it. I'm not just attacking the NFL, but there's ways to suspend people or like I said in our last podcast, the Jalen Ramsey suspension to me is a complete joke. It's a joke to me. Okay, your best player on the team, you're going to get him a week off of camp. You know it's not going to hurt him. It's still going to be the best corner in football. If anything, it's helping him get to week one, and you shut him down for a couple of weeks because he's not pissing everybody else off. And he's got this GQ article coming out that rips every quarterback in the league, and he's probably right on 90% of what he said, but he's a pain in the ass. So Tom Coughlin says, you know what, let's hush him up and not let him practice. Ooh, that's really going to hurt Jalen Ramsey. He ain't losing any money. He's gaining all his money.
Right, he's losing like $1,000. Yeah.
Right, and in his world, that's nothing. It's a fake tough guy. It's fake integrity. Good job, Jaguars. You come off as being tough and coming off, but Jalen Ramsey's still gonna be Jalen Ramsey. You ain't taught him shit. Congrats, and I'm not putting that down. It is what the league is, and that goes just to what happened to Antonio Callaway. If he was a 4-5 guy, if he
was a true fourth-round pick, is what you're saying.
But yes, and they try to say with first round. Yes, he has first round talent, but we all know the A to Z rule when you draft. And I don't want to call him a name because I don't know what his career is going to be, and I don't know him personally.
Well, I don't want to call him a name either, Dre.
But his past says that he is something.
Yeah, and I don't really want to judge him by his past either, both because there's some gray area, and that's his past.
No doubt, but okay. But how do we do in most jobs?
No, that's a great thing. That's a great way to bridge there. First of all, what I'm trying to ask is, has there been a sadder Hard Knocks moment than having a subtitle a guy?
Oh, no, you're right. No.
I mean, honestly.
That's pretty sad. What they had to do, the saddest was Antonio Cromartie didn't know all his kids' names. But, yeah, that's up there.
Yeah, I mean, there probably has been. I'm just saying, we live in a moment, especially on the podcast.
Hey, South, and you know what? I'm glad you said that. Ooh, please don't forget where you're at.
That's powerful.
Time out. No, it is, and I'm going to tell you, it's funny you say that, and I don't want to put this guy out here, but I know if I put it out there, he can deal with it, and we'll deal with it as well. Mike Clevenger is from Jacksonville, Florida. Mike Clevenger is not what he looks like. I mean, he just isn't. Yeah, he looks like a hippie. Yeah, he's got long hair. Yeah, he does what he does. But he's from fucking Jacksonville, Florida. And is a huge Jags fan. And he knows what that part of the country is. And when I brought that up to him, you know what he said to me? When we talked about him and I talked about just the situation. And he was like, I ain't saying it's all right. He goes, but that's just some Florida shit, man. He's like, Florida is different. He's like, when you live in that part of the country, he goes, it's just a different world, especially for guys like that.
Yeah, and I know that.
I know you know, and that's why I'm glad you brought that up. But I was glad a guy like Mike Clevenger was like, hey, that's some Florida shit. That's how shit just goes down there. You got to protect. He goes, I believe that the guys left the Glock thing in there. He goes, I can totally see it. He goes, I can totally see how all that happens. He goes, because that's how shit goes in Florida in certain areas from the age of 15 on. And I was like, wow. Because he said in front of me and someone else, and he was just so open about it that he was like, that's how shit is down in Florida. He goes, I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but it is.
All right, let me ask you this. You're around a professional team every day. It's a different sport, but you're around a professional team. You're basically embedded with a professional team, right?
Yeah, correct.
Is it 25 or 26 these days?
25.
25. Okay. So, and even though I know you and talk to you every day in some form or fashion, I mean, guys, the only Indians player I've ever met in my life is Cody Allen. And that was at a party, and he walked up to me, and he said his name is Cody, and I thought, who is this 5'10" dude? I thought, like, he worked for Fox Sports. That's no shit, right? So,
right.
But having been around NFL teams and NBA teams and high-level college, and whatever, I can go down the road. Let me ask you this, Dre. I have an expectation/prediction, okay? And this is how I want to get into the Antonio Callaway thing, which also leans towards the Josh Gordon thing and whatever. I would guess that 21 or 22 of those guys, Tito knows every day, are going to show up on time, be professional, be polite, pick each other up, be there if somebody's having a bad day, be the same guy almost every day, right?
Don't finish. You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
And there's 3 or 4.
And that leaves 3 or 4 that got a temper, they get overreacted, if they have a bad day with their wife, brother, neighbor.
They got shit going. Yeah, they got shit going on with their wives
that are out for themselves. That maybe aren't into the team concept. But guess what? When 7 o'clock comes, 7:05 comes, they're good. They pitch well.
Yeah. They
hit the ball out of the park. They field well. And they play Major League Baseball, and they make $5 million or $900,000 or $15 million, and they're worth it because they're fucking good at what they do. Right? Did I just say it fairly?
No doubt. No. Fair. That's fair. Very fair.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is, like, you're going to have to do this, and you're going to have to make exceptions, and you're going to have to roll with the punches. And as I've been very vocal, that a failure of the last administration, which is different as it was, and I was critical from the beginning, one of the main failures was not getting guys that come in and play for their $3 million, right? And show everybody else what it's like to play for your life, because this shit don't last forever, right?
Right.
And Antonio Callaway is not different than a whole bunch of other guys in that he's on his last chance and he's playing for money. It's just we're seeing it now nationally. We're seeing it here, a team that has a culture. And here's what I want to say, guys.
A team that doesn't have a culture yet.
Because I'm not Terry Francona, Tyronn Lue, John Dorsey, Kobe Altman, Chris Antonetti, whoever it is. I can't speak to what culture really means in pro sports. I can't speak to what building day-to-day, month-to-month, and setting the expectation where you can find people, where you can cut people, all that is. Because family is for high school, right? The rest of it is bullshit. Your family, you don't trade them, you don't cut them, you don't put them on waivers of the practice squad. Even though you want to, they're your family, you don't.
Preach.
What I'm trying to say is for the Browns, and this goes to Des Bryant, this goes to Antonio Callaway, like, let's talk about a culture. We'll fill radio minutes. Let's talk about a culture. We'll go in circles, and we've done that here. We're on 6 minutes of a circle. I know that. I hope you're still listening. But let's set expectations. And if the expectation is to score fucking touchdowns, then let's do that. So if that's Antonio Callaway and Des Bryant, let's go do that, right? We don't know where Josh Gordon is. We know he's not with the team. We don't know where Antonio Callaway will be in 8 hours, let alone 8 months, because it's an off night as we speak this. No, I guess he would have curfew tonight, but that doesn't mean he met it. Like, let's set an expectation of trying to win and trying to score touchdowns. And in a passing league and a scoring league, like, we're going to give this guy chances. We're going to see where it's going to go. And where the Indians are either going to win this World Series or they're not, and that's how their season's going to be judged, because they've done the whole win 100 games thing. They've done the whole dance thing. Like, let's either do it or not. And let's see where that goes.
Your culture, as what you're stating, is you either win a championship or you're a loser. And we'll do a lot to be a champion. We'll do a lot more to be a champion than we will to be a loser.
Yes.
It's pretty efficient. We don't want the Jordan face. Therefore, our culture really isn't about what you do after you leave here. Your culture is about what you do at 7:10 and what you do at 1 o'clock on Sundays. And if at 1 o'clock on Sundays you keep it closer to me getting my second contract, then damn it, I'll try to get you a second contract.
Amen.
If you can't help me get the second contract, therefore I will find someone else that I think can help me get there. That is the culture of pro sports. You guys buy the uniforms, you guys buy the jerseys, the hats, and there's nothing wrong with that. I wear them too. That's why I got an athletic hat on.
And Dre, clarify. You want every guy on your team to represent your organization with class and dignity and in charity.
Right.
But
for sure. We all know goddamn well that ain't going to be the case in every situation in life. Like in every business. Every guy that works for the Athletic, I'm sure the dudes that are paying the bills with the Athletic aren't crazy about everything else about some of the people. But if you can write a good ass story and you can engage
clear every week.
I'm sure I'm in line. But you don't hire robots. And see, what you're taking me off the ledge that I'm on, because I'm not trying to kill the Browns. And look, I want the kid to succeed, and that's the hard. And I'll be honest, going back to the show and finishing our circle on him. I'm not a complete prick. Like I have emotions. You want a kid like that? Like that's the American thing. Nobody wants that kid to fail.
Everybody wants him to succeed, just like everybody wants Josh Gordon to succeed. But we're going on 4 weeks with Gordon, and he's not here. So,
I'm not.
can we have
talk about Josh
we
Gordon.
don't. Neither one of us gain by having that conversation. But let's throw it out here, guys. And I think, honestly, this is what I love about our listeners. I think most of them get it. They're not the usual. Like, guys, when he's not here at this point, it's not 4 days anymore. It's not a week anymore. Like, let's be honest about what's probably going on. And let's be honest about what he's done his whole career. He is not a part of the Cleveland Browns. He is on Instagram. He is not a contributor. Thank you.
Usually I'm the one that does that. I scream out something or I say something. You just say, all right, yeah, what he said. And I'm very tempted to say, yeah, what he said. I keep saying he's not available. He's not available emotionally. He's not available in any function towards the culture of scoring rushing touchdowns. But he's like the hottest girl you've ever talked to, even though you know she wants nothing to truly do with you. You still look at her Instagram post and you like them because you just want her to think that you still paying attention.
Right.
You still looking at them and you still send a text.
Right. On her mom's birthday, you're sending her a text.
Right. Yeah. But you still hoping she sends you something back, even though you know they really ain't shit. And you really know they ain't about nothing. And you really know that they'll hurt you. Right when you think they got it, you got them. They'll say they're going on a date with you. They say they're going to show up. And maybe one day they'll show up when they need something, when they're broke and they need $20. Or when they know you can get them drunk or high. And then, look, I'm just being, I'm not saying how I'm painting a picture of what you really are in love with, or what the culture has become. Because if that kid looked like if he looked like Antonio Callaway, he wouldn't have a job with the Browns. If he was 5'11", and if he was,
no, listen, Josh Gordon is a perpetual question mark. Okay, and he might show up tomorrow. He might.
So what?
I'm just saying that.
And he might. And I'm going to be honest, and I don't care how people feel about when I say this, until he is a consistent person in his life and in his job for 2 straight years, I don't trust him. He hasn't done it for 2 straight months, people.
Here's how I would say it, Dre. Remember in about 2012, we were at the bar, and you probably don't remember this because you were yelling at the TV that night because I didn't show up till about 3 hours in. We were doing a TAM roundtable. I think with Bob France, right? Whatever happened to him. He probably works for Trump. Anyway. And he lifted up. It was me, you, and Camino, or me, you, and Terry Pluto. I forget who it was.
He said the best thing ever.
Yeah. And he said, who's closer to winning a title? The Browns, the Indians, or the Cavs? And the obvious answer at the time was the Indians, right? Because baseball's that way. And they were kind of in their down cycle. They were loading up on... They were just starting to build the vision of the rotation that they have now, and we know that comes down to it.
5 years ago. It had to be 5.
And I forget what person A answered, and I forget what person B answered, but I was person C, right. And I said the Cleveland Cavaliers because there's a chance in 2 years LeBron comes back. And he looked at me like I was the dumbest motherfucker that ever lived. And for most of that show, I might have been, right? But what I was saying is in pro sports, culture is different. This is not what you're building from the 8th grade on up. This is not at West Geauga High School what you're building with your JV team and you're begging your 10th graders to put a little more time in the weight room and give a little more commitment in the summer, right? This is pro sports. You either got the dudes or you don't, and then when you have them, you hope that the buy-in is good. You hope that the distraction is minimal, and you hope that the best guys lock in on winning, and you don't give a shit what they do, who they owe, and how they roll off the field because they roll in when practice is at 8. They roll in at 7:25, ready to go. Right?
True that.
They protect their bodies so when June comes or when January comes, they're ready to go. That's pro sports. It's different. And listen.
It is different.
Let me sum this up because I want to get to your notes and then we only got a little bit more time. Guys, the Browns look like a real NFL team and no bullshit. No sarcasm, no nothing. That's a huge step, right? And they got guys that got flaws like Tyrod Taylor, like Jarvis Landry, like Joe Schobert, like Michael Kendricks, like Jabril Peppers. They got a chance if everything comes together to win some games. They really do. Like they're playing well. Myles Garrett, it looks like he glides around that practice field like he is so bored, like he is ready to kill somebody. And if the circumstances are right, I think he will. So we'll see. I mean, taking a step back from that, what I think, and what I think doesn't matter, I think they win 4, 5, 6 games. I think they lay the foundation. This experimental year, Dorsey goes forward. We see where it goes. But, I mean, I see a team that is light years better than the rest. But please don't judge them one way or another on Hard Knocks. Please don't judge them one way or another on 2 quarters on August 17th or August 23rd. Like, we'll see where it goes, and there's a lot that goes into it. But the Browns are better. They're not back yet, but they're getting there, and that's huge. And so Bud Light victory fridges and guys being breakout stars, like, that's all going to take care of itself. But, like, they're a real NFL team. Those of you who thought the last ones were jokers, and that's fine. You can still listen here. We still appreciate it. We'll see what happens. Just don't sprain an ankle or be an asshole jumping to conclusions, because they got a long way to go. Because they started at the bottom, and they ain't nowhere yet, but still at the bottom. September 9th, that shit starts.
They still there. 2 notes that I'll read that are most important. One of my last ones is Zach's fat ass made his fucking first appearance with about 4 minutes left in the second episode.
No, you missed my first couple, but that's fine.
Well, I'll go back and watch. I ain't got nothing better to do than that. But when I noticed you, that's what I care about. So you noticed your own stuff, and you're telling all you, and you should notice your own stuff. But I know how where you try to hide, and you try to be a little bit different.
Yeah, that's because I've been trying to hide. Yes.
Because what?
Because I was telling somebody else that night. I said I sent somebody the screenshot of your thing. And they said, well, I didn't even see you. And I said, well, you got to understand we watch it totally differently. I said, because I'm there for 80% of this stuff. So I'm looking at different things than you're looking at, right? That's all.
Right. And I know what you do when it's time to get started. It's not a bad thing. I know you, and I know how the game works out, what you're trying to do. All right. We can all feel the way we feel. I think here's a couple things I just want to say. I think Todd Haley is so far, and I know that Todd Haley has huge flaws, better than most. But I feel like if the Browns are going to make a turn, I think some of his personality is going to have to come over this team. And just what we've seen on TV. And I would have said this before I saw the TV show, but I like that he goes to Landry and says, you better get this kid together, get this kid together. I think that's part of being – and here's where I want to feel bad for you at times, but when your quarterback's telling you the best way to motivate your players, because Tyrod was exactly right, show this on the fucking film. Show these dudes that they're lollygagging. See, that's not a TV moment for me. That's real football to me. And for a football coach, because I've been in those rooms when I've been yelled at or seen people get yelled at when you watch film and say, why the fuck are you the last one to the huddle? And I know the effect of a room when that happens, because I've been in a room and I've seen that happen. And because there is nothing worse than being amongst your peers, being called out, and it's on tape, and you can't lie, and you did it, and you are lacking in giving the effort that's needed to win. Those moments are unparalleled. And if anybody that's ever been in a room and had that happen, I think would agree. It either kills the person's spirit or it makes that person bust his ass and not be on that film anymore. That's why like people that have ever watched Monday film with coaches or Friday or Saturday, it was Saturday film at St. V or whenever. To me, it's the most accountable thing in the world. And that's why when you guys yell at big league players about drop passes or about not hitting the slider or not doing this, do you know that they've already been, like their teammates already have been all over them, their coaches have already been over them, and they've had to watch the film 5 times? They know better they know why they missed it. They know what was really happening. I get that we react and we bought a ticket so we can say whatever we want, but most guys that suck know they suck before you know they suck. But I thought that was a great moment but it's taking that guy. So there's a couple of things about Todd Haley. And like I said, I'm not the biggest fan. I am what I am, but at least he's coming off like the biggest adult on the coaching staff so far. I can't talk about the head coach and the defensive coordinator. Just my opinions from afar and being in locker rooms and just what I've seen on the TV show and what I know about all of those. The other thing is, and I will say this should be the name of this podcast, and it should be somewhere put.
I think it is a good name, but go ahead.
But yeah, this is going to be the subtitle for the rest of the football season, because it's the best thing that Hugh Jackson has ever said. Unmotivated talent don't do shit. Remember that, kids. If you're a young kid and you want motivation and you want to be ready and prepared, remember that, because it's the truest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. The
truest thing from Hugh, or the truest thing you've ever seen?
The truest thing I've ever seen, motherfucker. I said it how I wanted to say it, and I believe it.
Well, I'm going to name this podcast that, so that's why I'm asking.
Unmotivated talent don't do shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I agree.
Some of the most talented people you've ever met in your life are not the most successful people in your life. I just had a conversation with my nephew about this. We all have a different feel of what success is in our own lives. Like, we have a judgment of what success is, but for ourselves and each personal person, success is different. But some of the most talented people I've seen in life haven't amounted to shit because they were unmotivated. LeBron James is one of the most talented people.
Can't you just talk to me off the air about this, bro?
Time to come to Jesus, Zach. It's time. I got my athletic hat on, and I'm telling you, bring your fat ass to the other side. Anyway, LeBron James is one of the most talented people we've ever seen in our entire lives. But you know what else he is? He's motivated as hell to be the best of all time.
Right. He's added to his game every year. He's added to his resume every year. Yes.
You can't question his talent. You can't question his motivation. Right? You can't question it. You may not like everything he says. You may not like everything he does. You may not like everything that comes out of his mouth. But the two things you can't question about him is his talent and his motivation, because he's done it for 50 years.
Listen, really. Like, hey, let me interrupt here because I saw this in the comment section tonight. I mean, we all know Tyrod Taylor has limitations, right? And we don't know if they'll come out in week 1 or week 9 or both or in between or later, right? But the guy got traded to the Browns and got tasked with being the guy to lead the Browns. And he's grabbed the fuck out of it, right? From a motivation and leadership standpoint, he's done everything. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, he hasn't won anything yet, and he might not. But for August 15th, this dude goes in the Browns legends, right?
They got to put. I was going to say they got to have a bobblehead of him next year at training camp. Let me say something. He has accomplished something. He fucking got the Buffalo Bills. You can laugh. The Buffalo Bills hadn't been in the playoffs since Jim Kelly was playing, man.
Yes.
Since Doug Flutie was
17 years, leaving the Browns as the longest team. Yes.
Yes. So I know it's a small little hurdle, but the NFL, until you get to the playoffs, everybody laughs at you and puts you in rap lyrics. The Buffalo Bills wasn't a rap lyric you want to be a part of.
Accomplishments is a magic word, right? Because everybody gets in pro sports, and like a lot of teams play for the championship or bust, and a lot of guys make millions of dollars, more in baseball and basketball than football. But like accomplishments matter, right? And the Browns have had none, except for on the dubious side.
Right.
And we have been very clear for years and for weeks and for in this podcast that there's nothing they can accomplish until they win games when September and October roll around. However, when you talk about a franchise that's been to the depths that they've been, when you talk about their real state and you want to check off accomplishments for July and August as you prep that, Tyrod Taylor doing what he's done, leading like he's led, that's huge, right? So
Completely.
You're right. I'll be quickest to throw them in the lake in 3 weeks, and I'm already saying they're halfway there. But, I mean, let's talk about, in honesty, again, honesty, not sarcasm, reality, not joking. Like, the Browns being a real NFL team and being on the verge of entering a season where you don't know what's going to happen every Sunday, those are huge fucking strides, guys. So that's where they are, and we'll see where it goes.
Absolutely. Unmotivated shit. Unmotivated talent don't mean shit. It don't. It really doesn't.
I mean, listen, Tyrod's making 16 this year, Dre, and that is, if you consider him a middle quarterback, that's on the upside, but that's right in the range. I mean, let's just say this. Let's say he wins 3 and plays 10, right? But all this shit about what he's done to get ready, be the guy, prepare, is right. I mean, he turned 29, I think, on August 3rd.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in position to make 48 over 3 to be that for somebody else.
And
right?
He's going to get it
guaranteed.
Because he's a professional. Hey, if the one kid, I can't
motivated.
Think of him. The little quarter, yeah, he's motivated. He's making the most of what he has. Drew Brees makes the most of what he has. Like the great players in the league make the most of their talent. And at some point in time, for the Browns to be a normal NFL team, they have to make the most of their talent. Can Myles Garrett be motivated to be a 17 to 18 sack guy? We look at him. Why can't he not? Why can't he not? It looks like the quarterback that they drafted number one over. The quarterback they drafted number one overall. I don't think he should start. You guys know how I feel. But if he stays motivated, can stay not getting hurt, he's at least motivated, made the most of his talent. I'll give him that. He's an overachiever. Now, at some point in time, your talent does play out to who you are and what you are. But at least he's motivated. Can he stay motivated?
Hey, Jared, we're at 45 minutes. You got anything else in the notes other than about my fat ass?
No, I just want to get that. I know, because you talked me out of him. We talked about Callaway. But unmotivated talent don't do shit. And if you're a kid right now getting
so I just want to say this, because honestly, some of you guys won't listen to this till after Friday's game, and we don't know how it'll go. And, God forbid anybody gets hurt or whatever. These are just scrimmages. They're just practices. And guys get better, and you hope the team gets better, and you move along. The Browns are good in that they have a quarterback that knows what he's doing, passing it off to a quarterback who every day looks more and more like he knows what he's doing and has pocket presence and all of those things. The offensive line not being together is a concern. The defense playing the first preseason game like it's a Super Bowl is a concern. Hey, we'll see how this gets sorted out. But like the direction, like the energy, think you have a chance the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, because you do. Just keep the brake pedal handy, guys. That's all. We'll see where this goes. This is an experimental year for the Browns.
Yes. One thing I'll say, and then we can move on to the talk about the Queen and get out. The best thing that's happened with Hard Knocks so far, and just the preseason so far in my eyes, is that Denzel Ward has quietly gone about his business and done his thing. And I think
he's a treat to watch, man.
If Greg Williams' defense is to get pressure and leave corners on the island, the Browns don't go far. They don't go anywhere soon in the next 3 to 4 years unless he becomes a top 5, top 10 cornerback. I'm not saying he's going to be that, but that's what they need for what Greg Williams likes to do. Because that's the thing. There's only so many schemes in the NFL. There's only so many different ways you can blitz a quarterback. There's only so many ways you can cover wide receivers. At some point in time, it's the X's and Joes. And Denzel Ward has the talent. And once again, is it motivated talent? If he's motivated and it's been quiet and so far there's been no injuries or anything that I've heard of, at some point in time he will be a storyline on Hard Knocks because of where he was drafted, because he's at home, because of his father's situation and his parents' situation. There's definitely a story with Denzel Ward. I like that it's been quiet so far because to me he's quietly come in and done everything that's been asked of him and has a chance to be a really good player. And he's talented. So that's important to me, and that's the positive note I'll walk away from right now.
I agree. I mean, listen, the reason he hasn't been featured on Hard Knocks is because he's quiet. His closing speed is rare, and he's going to get picked on this year because veteran quarterbacks are going to find the rookie, and he's not going to have 16 great games. He might not have 6 great games, but all the talent is there, and he's a treat to watch, and it's fun to see a Browns first-round pick and see the raw talent. He's like 21 and 3 months old, and see where he might go, especially at a premium position. Dre, we lost Aretha Franklin today. She's a legend. Here's the thing: we've talked many times. Music, it means more to people. It's not a huge thing for me, but going back many, many, many years, my mom would say to us, hey, some days you guys will appreciate music, good or bad, because it takes you to a spot and a time and reminds you of a person, a bar, a memory, all these things. And she was the biggest Aretha fan that there ever was, and I know she took it hard. She mentioned it to me the other day. I sent her a screenshot of the tweet that Aretha died, and so that was a big deal. She was a giant in the industry, in the American culture, even though, she's a generation or even 2 ahead of us. And so salute to the Queen, Aretha Franklin.
Absolutely. She is the Queen. Her music played on Saturdays in my household growing up. That meant it was time to clean, to sweep, and we listened to her. I can just hear, what you want? Baby, yeah. I got it. I'm not going to sing it and mess it up, but
you got all year to sing 5 and 11, so don't sing Respect right now.
Dude, I'm hoping them thieves out in Berea can give me the opportunity to put a remix to 5 and 11.
The remix. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Shout out as always to Scene. to Honeymoon Grill, to American Fireworks, A to Z Podcast.com, Facebook.com/A to Z Podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your wife, tell somebody else's wife. It's the A to Z Podcast. We thank you for listening. We have a lot of fun with this. Hopefully we'll be able to do another one this weekend. If not, maybe we'll squeeze one in on Monday before the next edition of Hard Knocks. We're enjoying the shit out of it. We're excited. We hope you are too. And we thank you for listening very much. We'll see you soon.
You're supposed to take care of your kids, you ignorant motherfucker.